Yep, you're welcome in Black Fire Network. It's Africa Maria from Kampala. You good? Today is a Wednesday here in East Africa, so it could be a different day wherever you are because you have time differences. But today is Wednesday here, and of course, it is 11 minutes past 7. And good evening from Kampala, Uganda. It's Africa Maria. And here on Black Fire Network, of course. Well, so you it has been long since I can lie, but yeah. Today we are going to discuss about how African women have changed from their traditional ways. Um, you know, like when we talk about African women, a lot of people have a different picture of African women. Okay, and if we look at African women, the first thing that comes in people's mind is finding a culture, traditional, typical African women. To the point that I've come across a lot of friends of mine from, especially the Black American people, um, trying to compare the two, the African women in Africa and the African women outside Africa, and you know characters, behaviors, or how people, of course, um, deal with their anger or how people carry themselves defies. So it has really got nothing to do with someone being in Africa and someone being outside Africa. But I can say it is a blessing for an African woman to grow in Africa and uphold the traditional culture, norms, and beliefs of the African people because this makes your character stand out from the rest of the women in the world. I know people have got different characters. We've been inviting them on video. Yeah. People have got different characters all over the world, and people appreciate different behaviors from different women. So I'm not like saying being an African woman probably so it is not like we're gonna say people who do not behave like African women are not good or something like that. I also know there are still some African men who do not appreciate the African in their women. I still know there are still some African men out there who do not appreciate a typical African woman, more especially, but the majority of the African men do appreciate that part of women. Lando is right in the building. Lando, thank you for coming through. Hi, Maria. How are you? I'm doing great. Thank you so much. I'm doing good too. Thank you for coming through. Sorry, I hope you're doing fine. I'm doing good. Thank you for coming through. So, so a lot, I've seen like a lot of Black people outside Africa trying to compare these two. They try to compare a typical African woman and a Black woman outside Africa, and it's always the comparison of you do not do this, they do this, of African women do this, and those others don't do something like that. Okay, what's the topic, Maria? Good evening, Maria. Kate. Yes, sir. Thank you for coming. Good evening. Lando, the topic is about how African women have changed from their traditional ways. Like, because the expectation of an African person outside Africa is quite very high compared to the product or the African women are bringing out or they are producing, or the expectation of the people outside Africa are very high compared to the results that the African women in Africa are really bringing out. I don't really care how Zungu woman behaves because that is not why we are here. And I don't want someone to think like we are trying to compare the two people. It's not my business. What Zungu man does not, is not my business. My business is we the Black people. The business is about us. Okay, so the expectation of a typical African woman should be something great. But of course, everybody has their choices. Everyone has their choices in how they want their daughters or their wives or whatever it is to behave. And I'm not going to say every man wants a typical African woman. Some don't. But since this is our tradition, since this is our culture, it is very important that we uphold that, because this is what makes us stand out, and this is what identifies us as the African women. Now, today the mainstream has really deprived away the rights of the young generation to know what they are supposed to do, to know what identifies them as African women or as African people. The change was forced because of colonialism, and African women are put in the of European women behavior. Exactly. First of all, defining beauty of an African woman nowadays is measured by the European standards. Okay, so before actually before, for it was okay for a woman to be curvy, for a woman to be dark skinned, for a woman to have her kinky hair, for a woman to have to comb her half afro hair and move with the pride. And nowadays it is categorized in another different way. So if either you're curvy, definitely you're not looking after yourself. I'm not, or you're not so representable, or probably that she eats a lot. She big like that because she eats a lot. I mean, there's some things some other people may be even asking you. And systematic problems are the reasons why African women behave differently from tradition, okay, modalities. That's true. That's true, Lando. Actually, first of all, what you are exposed, what lives around you has a lot to do with your behaviors. Got a lot to do with how you behave. Um, but we see a lot, like first of all, the introduction of new styles. Wearing a traditional African attire is very expensive. I can go to the wherever, a boutique or somewhere, I buy like this t-shirt, or I buy a skirt, or I buy any other clothes at a very, very affordable price. But the materials that make Africa's attires are very, very good materials. That's one thing. They last a very long time. They are still made from traditional, they are still made under traditional ways, and they go through a process. And buying traditional attires is very, very expensive. That's when we want to talk about African women wearing their traditional wears. Apart from these kind of wears we're wearing right now, probably I wear a kitenge, like the Congolese and the East Africans call it, or I wear the Ankara dress, whatever that dress, that the materials are quite expensive compared to these other clothes that the Mzungu introduced. Now you will see what the Mzungu does. They try to make sure that what they want you to embrace, they put it at a very, very affordable price compared to you. I don't know why the people in Africa will make the traditional wares very expensive. I don't know. Maybe because I don't know why they make them so very costly that a few people can afford. Yet, if these traditional wares are for us, then they should be affordable. But these other things should rather be very expensive, because this is not ours. So ours should be very affordable. They would at least make it very easy for every African person to be able to wear their traditional attires For one reason, to promote their traditional attires. Two, to embrace their traditional ways of clothing. Three, to make them feel proud of their attires. But now the traditional attires are very expensive compared to these other Muzungu clothes. You know, I'm a read your comment. Hi Maria, Jibjaba. Thank you very much for coming through. Dwight Davidson, hello. Um, good evening, Maria. Good evening, General Mosquito. Thank you for coming through. Uh, African culture. Africa. I haven't worn dash keys in years. Or sorry, sorry about that. African culture was destroyed in order for colonialism to have a dominance on African society in all aspects, to include the reprogramming of African mindset. I concur with you 100%. I concur with what Lando is saying. Whenever I'm talking like about Africa, basically I usually like try to talk about African women, because in Africa a woman is very important in the society, and a change of a woman calls for a change of the entire society and entire generation. So we run everything here. So that's why I usually talk like about the women a lot, because they represent a big percentage of the entire population. And also, General Muscular said it has taken long wearing a dash kill, a dash kizzy in years. Why don't you have any, or don't you have occasions where you're supposed to wear that? I'm always so proud of a lot of African women living outside Africa, who try to wear their traditional attires and walk down the streets, and they're like, wow. And so we don't see that here usually. We don't see. I remember the last time, by the way, let me tell you something funny. So I was supposed to, I was supposed to contest for woman MP. So, because of course you're supposed to be 18 years plus for you to contest for that. And I was preparing myself. I think that's the time where I had to wear those traditional clothes, like I was moving up and down and everything. I had to give up on that thing because it's very, very rough road. It's a very rough road. I got scared. I was like, I, why did I even say that? But yeah, I was preparing to do that, to contest for women MP, uh, in my home area. So that's when I wore those traditional attires, because like when you're going down there to those people, of course you have to look like so tradition. You have to represent the tradition, and so I had to change it. I think I have some pictures of me when I'm wearing those traditional attires. But well, I was looking good. It look all most of the African traditional attires really look good on the Africans compared to all these other things that we are wearing. Hi, Joe. Okay. So in Africa, actually, we have, because if you keep on wearing these kind of clothes, because this is how they measure how good looking you are. You gotta wear those. I'm not like trying to say we don't wear short clothes. Okay, we got some short traditional attires which are very short. It depends on the occasion. There are those which are long, there are those which are round, whichever type you want. We got that. But African people do not wear that, because most of them cannot afford them. They are very expensive. For you to be able to wear that, everyone thinks like you're very responsible. You must be having money for you to wear that. You're coming to to buy that from the shop. You must be having money for you to be able to wear that. So we deprive because if we deprive ourselves from wearing our traditional attires, because we are very selfish probably, or we think we want to yield a lot of money. But some time back, I was asking some people who make those clothes, they're like saying the materials are very, very expensive. The fabrics, of course, this has got a lot to do with history because a lot of African things are very expensive. The fabrics that make those clothes are not the usual fabrics that make this kind of clothes. They are so original. They are so original. So, of course, they ought to be expensive, I guess, but they would not. According to me, I feel like at least they would be affordable for everybody to be able to have. They have to remove the man from head of the society in order to awaken African society. You have to explain more, Dwight Davidson. I don't really get. I don't really get why should they move? Why should they remove the man from the head of the society? Now and then in Africa, I guess man is no longer the head nowadays because everything has turned upside down. Man is no longer the head, I guess, because I see like a lot of women are taking step, a lot of African men are running away from their responsibilities, from their duties, and men are embracing these things. Men are becoming the head of the family. You find a family where even there is a husband, but still the woman is the one who's taking care of the entire family. So probably that is now in words. Maybe that's why maybe things are going so wrong because things are going so wrong. One thing, women think with their emotions and men don't. So when emotions are involved in a lot of judgments usually go wrong. I don't know, this is my thought, but you can explain more like about what you were saying. To be African in the fullest sense, they could never, uh, okay, colonize. I guess there is an error, but let me try to correct your typing, London. To be African in the fullest sense, there could never be colonialism, I guess. There could never be colonialism on the planet. To be African is to be God in flesh. You, blackness, represents the highness, vibration in the universe. Colonialism has removed. Okay. Okay, now I get to say it. I get it now. To be African is to be an African in a fullest sense. There could have never been colonialism. That means for us, probably to be Africans, if colonialism had not come, we would be Africans in our full sense. I understand because we are gods in our flesh and we represent the higher vibration in the universe. So colonialism took away all this. I guess that's what you're trying to say. Okay? As from our, okay, yeah. The colonialism took us from our godship. Like it enslaved our mind. I get now what you're saying. So there was a little bit typing errors, but I guess that's what you meant. So Lando is trying to tell us that if colonialism had not come, we would still be the gods that we were. I guess we still have the godship in us, but we haven't identified that. Our mind is still so closed to the colonialist ways of life. Okay, I guess our mind is still so closed. But if the colonialists had not come, all this would not be here. We wouldn't be talking about we, the black people, should wake up to whatever. We would still be we would still be the black people who we were in history. We would still be, you know, we would still be connected to nature. That is what Lando is like trying to enlighten us about. And I do agree with you 100%. Though we still get some Africans or black people out there who still say, stop blaming your predicaments on the colonialists. Stop blaming all that, but we have. I mean, I'll still continue to blame them. I may not be as dumb as other people, probably because I don't know. But there are those other people who are just so dumb, they're just in a position where they want them to be. So I guess if you did not introduce this old lifestyle that I'm going to introduce, it would still be the Africans we were. Okay, so yes, I agree. Dwight Davidson says that Africa had fallen from their heights, godship, long before the Caucasian arrived. That is why the Caucasian was able to successfully invade. Dwight said that we had fallen from our godship. I know Dwight always trying to connect his discussions with the Bible. Don't you gonna explain us? You're gonna explain to us more about that comment I read, because I don't know how to explain that comment really. I don't know how to explain that comment really. But me, I have my own, the way I view how colonialism was able to invade Africa. My own thought though, like I always say, some of the other things I speak about here on Black Hot Fire are my own thoughts, ways how I view things and how I read things and how I was told by elders, of course, because I wasn't there during those days. So I wouldn't tell you that I'm so but I know there is something you look at, obviously, because we all got the wisdom. We have the wisdom, the godliness in us, the instincts, and everything that joins your understanding together. We've been dumb. We've been dumbing down from our position. Religion was used for the purpose. Our women, our behavior suffered because of this change in our purpose of human. That is Lando. Lando says that um, we have dumped, our position because of religion, and people have changed. Okay, the women's behavior have changed probably because of religion and how, because religion, of course, drives people's way of life. It drives your way of life. Okay, there is somebody who is higher than a husband in an African house, in a religious African house. A wife rather serves the food and dishes it for a pastor and leaves the husband who has hustled to get this food. If at all it's going to be maybe with the food that is even not able to satisfy him, but takes a lot of food to the pastor, whoever runs the church. I had recently, even they call them daddy. I don't know where that bullshit comes from. Sometimes I even feel shy when I hear some grown-ass women behaving like I just like you be pastors everywhere. I mean, I didn't even understand like daddy's back. Even grown-up people saying that. I thought it was the young people in church because now your pastor probably is your father's age. I also see grown-up women like daddy, whatever. I'm like, damn, what is wrong with these people? But anyway, let me first read. I hope Joy Davidson is trying to clarify. Let me first read Jib Jabba's comment before. Traditional clothing is expensive to discourage use. Yes, yes, that's what I was talking about. By the time the Caucasians invaded Africa, had lost the science of building the pyramid. God. I'm coming to that. Let me first jump up to Jibby Jabaz. Jibby Jabaz says that the tradition of course clothing are expensive, which discourages use. Of course, somebody will not go for an expensive thing when there is another. First of all, we are just covering our flesh. We're just covering our bodies. So someone will not go for something which is very expensive and leave something which is cheap. Okay. So that's why a lot of women prefer wearing these other clothes. And Dwight is telling us, Dwight's point sometimes, Dwight Davidson's points at times that you need a lot of depth to explain. I don't know why you think the Africans had lost the touch or the science of building the pyramids. First of all, these pyramids were built for a reason. If you look at the materials that actually built the pyramids, they were never in those places where the pyramids are. Okay? The materials that built the pyramids were in the Great Rift Valley of East Africa. There is a longest, a deepest lift valley in the entire Africa, and that lift valley crosses all over the Congo. It sharpens itself as a U. It crosses the Congo and the entire uh, some parts of the East Africa, of course, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, like that, and Uganda is the middle of the valley. So if you look at the materials that were used to construct these things, they came from the Great Rift Valley. They are only found in the Great Rift Valley in Africa. They're not found anywhere. We are talking about the pyramids now. And if you look at the weight those stones have, if you look at the weight the materials have, I also wonder how they were moved to to that place. I don't know why you think by the time the Caucasians came, Africans had lost the science of constructing the pyramid. I know you are trying to write this to the Hebrew stuff, because I know you are a Hebrew, but I will not discuss about that today. Because I don't know much about your Hebrew thing, so I'm not gonna talk much about that. And we are not talking about pyramids today, because I know a lot of people got a lot of misconception about the pyramid. Everyone talks about the pyramid in their own way, because I've come across a lot of YouTube videos, everyone describing the pyramids in their own kind of way, and Africans have also their own stories about the pyramid. But anyway, let me fast read the comments as well. Religion, okay, that's pyramid. I'm done with that. Religion affects the woman greater than the man because their emotions was affected by the man by it. The emotions were affected by the religion. The emotions of the women, of course. Men are more logical, so our effect was different. Where if okay, I guess you're saying we were affected by our perception of ourselves in relation to us, the women. I guess that's what you meant. Religion affects the women greater than the men because uh, the emotions of women were affected by religion. Now, for the men, they are more logical, so their effect was different. The effect of religion to men was different. Okay, when men were affected by religion, okay, men were affected by the conception of themselves in relation to the women. That means it was women who were driving men into religion. That means if like it's gonna be your mom probably trying to teach to you about religion or something like that. So you're gonna say, well, I'm gonna go to church because my mom. I guess this is what Land is trying to tell us. Like I want to go to church because my mom wants me to. I don't want to make her sad. Or you say, all right, I'm not going to share with my wife today because she's talking about religion. So you end up saying, okay, babe, I get you. You're right because you love your woman. So you're going to give it. I guess that is what Lando was trying to say. Please, you can correct me if I'm not right. Okay, the universe and how you view it. Yeah, like I always say, men got their own man. Like I said, women, we are like I said even this before. Women are controlled by emotions. That's why women are controlled by emotions. Put her on an emotional thing, she'll make it so perfect. Men always, men do not control. Men are people who think, they use their mind, logic, you know. So I guess that's why even when you go to churches, it is women who are populated. They are so populated. Lando says that I'm right. Thank you very much. I'm glad that I interpreted your comment right. Let me read. The Eye of Africa in Mountain Mauritania. I guess the Eye of Africa in Mauritania was probably Atlantis, and it was abandoned long before the Caucasian invaded. Oh, Another sign of Africa's decline before the Caucasian. I don't know now. I don't know, Dwight. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to talk about. I don't want to. I don't want to talk about this because I don't know where that is coming from, though. That's why I cannot talk about it because I don't know where it's coming from. I've never heard of this actually. It's first time, and I don't know the view at which you stand. So that's why I may not be able to respond to that. But of course, that's what Dwight David sorry I was trying to say. No, this is not about Hebrews. Okay. Let me first there is no Hebrew that ever walked on any pyramid. That there is no Hebrew that ever walked on any pyramid. That is Keith Newsome, of course, are responding to Dwight Davidson's comment. Jim Jabba says in the US, old blacks would give the preacher the biggest piece of chicken when he would come to eat. I know. I know. This happens in Africa too, like I was saying. This happens in Africa too. So these preachers have not only stopped in churches, they are entering houses. You find you cannot construct a hospital. I keep on asking giving people before you even blame the government, if you are able to construct churches which cost billions of money, are you not able to construct a community hospital? And churches are also the number one reason why Africa is poor. This money is not divided the way it's supposed to be. Probably. If you're able to construct a huge church, we got pastors who have got very big church, huge pieces of land, churches which are worth billions of money. Aren't you able to, solicit this money and jointly build a hospital that is going to be a community hospital? Let's build a hospital and then start demanding for the government to probably supply us with medicines and everything like that. And if not, we can still get those medicines. We got communities which have trained professionals. Let's do that. But hell no, we invest every little thing we have in these churches, and pastors are getting rich and rich every day. One pastor has like 10 churches, 10 huge churches that costed even billions of money to construct. And people are still complaining. I've not seen a pastor building a hospital. If they build a school, they're still gonna ask for a lot of school fees. Even the education rate is gonna be high in that school. Everything about them is making money. So if Africans, you're able to solicit money to construct this church, why not construct other communal beneficial things? But of course not. You can see religion. So we have the right to talk about religion in whichever way. For us who view the aspect of everything concerning religion being wrong. First of all, if you're a pastor, you're here. If at all you're preaching about whatever, pastor or priest or whatever, you're here to preach about the goodness for the people. Do it practically. Let me see them say, right about now, we are going to collect money in the church. We are going to have our offering, Africa. We are going through this. We do not have hospitals, so let's collect money. People will collect this money, build a hospital, make it free for everybody. Let people come to the hospital. Do you have pastors who are doing that? If at all they construct the hospitals after you save your money, you give your money to them, they construct the hospital, what is going to happen next? You're going to that hospital to pay a lot of money for you to be able to get services from a place that you built, from a place that you contributed to. So that is religion. And that is why I don't really support this thing, because it is obvious. I just look at it and everything is just not right. Let me first go back. Anyway, I was jumping right into religion after Jibba Jabba's comment. Jabba Jabba. Let me first read. No, this is not about Hebrews. This is about the statement that we were or our gods and you Caucasians could not have, and the Caucasians could not have invaded if Africans were in their godship. I am pointing out the mathematical or scientific decline of Africa when the Caucasians invaded. Uh, Dwight was, of course, complimenting on his comment. So he was trying to clarify about me thinking that he's driving this from the Hebrews. And he's trying to say he was responding to Lando Winter's comment about Africans, of course, um, driving away from their godship because of colonialism, and it's trying to say colonialism is not the reason. I guess this is what you're trying to say, Dwight Davidson, that colonialism is not the reason Africans are driven away from their godship, but rather they had fallen away, you know, before uh, colonialism was introduced, or before the Caucasians came to Africa. And he was trying to tell us one of the proof is that we had lost the scientific way of constructing the pyramid and all that. Now they tithe, they pay back. Okay, now they tithe their paycheck. Yeah. I quit church at 13 when I realized it was all bull. Yes. I will not mention that word because I'm seeing your emojis. If Africa were okay, with the church. Okay, this is from Dwight Davidson. If Africa were gods, then the woman knew her role in the Godhead, like the Holy Spirit knows her role in the relationship to Yahweh, the Father. Now, since the Africans have fallen from Godship, the African woman has forgotten her role in relation to the man and is becoming rebellious like Eve. How do you? The point I'm trying to get them back. You're mixing those Eve and that thing, all those things you're trying to mix. But I guess you're trying to say African women fell. I mean, okay, our godship. Okay, you're trying to mix. You're mixing a lot of that Bible stuff, the Hebrew, and together with the those. How? I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, but I got to ask you this. How do this? Do you believe the godliness in the African? Do you believe in the godliness in the African people? And you say Yahweh and the Holy and the Holy Spirit. So you're like saying the Holy Spirit never rejected Yahweh. Okay, they're like hand in hand. And for us, we drived away. We drived away from the godliness that we forgot, and the African women became rebellious. I don't get it. How did African women become rebellious in this aspect? I don't, you can still comment and elaborate more. If you destroy the black woman, then the future generation would be of no effect or value the world. The colonizer knew this exactly. Rather, I don't know why. Okay, before I get your point, Lan. Dwight Davidson, you're like trying to say that the Africa, you're like trying to say this question goes to, of course, Dwight Davidson. What do you think caused that? Because if you do not agree with the fact that Caucasians did not bring the Africa's downfall, what do you think caused that? Because you're telling us that this happened before the Caucasians came into Africa. So you tell us what caused that? What caused the Africans to um, fall from their board ship? I'm waiting for that comment. And of course, Redison, thank you. And if you destroy the black woman, I read that already. They call that, yeah, like I say, like, more especially when it comes to I put the woman lead of my topics. I don't know why my network is doing this. Because when you talk about African woman, you're talking about the entire African system. Because right, okay. I'm sorry. This is my mom. I gotta pick it. I'm sorry, mom. The can't tell it. Eh, mama ancora. Tell her kids hello, hi. Yeah. I don't know why my Wi-Fi is like that. Um, Robert William, thank you for coming through. Wewe ni makia wa Mungu, unishout. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for coming through. I would rather read Bishop's fables over believing the Bible. That is Jibi Jabba, Jiba Jabba. Robert Williams, Karibu tena. Thank you for coming through. Karibu tena na tena. Habari ya huku. Uko poa na sisi tuko sawa tu. Joto ni nyingi nani hapa? Nasikia kiu, joto ni nyingi, habari za huko. Let me hope muko poa nyinyi wote. Yeah, so tuko sawa tu. Asante, tena karibu. You just say you would prefer, I think, okay, Maria, read my lesson. Okay. Let me read it. Thank you. I'll definitely do. I'm sorry. I guess I could have. Okay. All right. You say that tribalism was introduced to the fallen African kingdom by our invaders. Even if they have fallen, it took a foreigner. That's a comment directed to Dwight Davidson. I don't know, did Dwight Davidson reply to the other question I posed? Like, if he believes that, let me first go back a little bit up. I guess he has not responded to that yet. We still have his last comment, which is about Eve and the spirit with Yahweh. And Lando is trying to say that, let me get your comment. Tribalism was introduced to the fallen African kingdom by our invaders. Now, even if they have fallen, it took a foreigner to enslave us. That is a comment from, of course, Lando Winter trying to react to Dwight Davidson comment about the Africans, falling before the Caucasians, of course, invading Africa. And Orlando Winter, of course, responds to that, saying that even if tribalism caused that falling, but even if we had fallen at that time, it took the colonialists or the foreigners to enslave the Africans, and that was why he was directing to Dwight Davidson. Thank you guys for making this chat room very warm and hard. Okay, I guess I read your comment now. Thank you for reminding me. I'm sorry, I had just skipped it unknowingly. Let's get off the Bible study. Let's do it, Jam. Okay, Dwight Davidson is responding to the question I said for him. He said that he believes, I'll read directly, of course, not to quote. I believe the adoption of the Kemetic religion, that worships the woman and other animists, religious and a general falling away from Yahweh. We are back to Yahweh, into all sorts of magic led to this decline in a high civilization and rise of a reprobate mind. The rise of a reprobate mind, okay, rising in a reprobate mind. I guess when you talk, you know, I really, really try as much as possible to run away from, when it comes to religion. I mean, I'm responding to Right Davidson. I knew this was going to come to Yahweh. I knew this was going to come here. But when it comes to religion, everyone, because I believe one thing I'm going to tell you, just like Jib Jabba said, he stopped going to church when he was 13. All of us have a church touch, whether we like it or not. We just broke away after understanding, after waking up to realize that we were living in a matrix, or it was everything is like a programmed stuff. But most of us have a church touch in our thinking, in our thoughts. And I can tell you, same here. I guess I was supposed even to be a nun. Can you imagine? I grew up, I wanted to be a nun. So when I tell you I know religion really well, because on my dream also my mom was gonna be a nun, and my grandma was always she gonna be a nun, but staunch Catholic girl. And so I know. So if we're gonna start talking about religion, Yahweh, religious beliefs and all that kind of thing, it's gonna be a whole long story, because we have different aspects, and the implants of religion in each of African mind depends on that, what the doctrine that we're reading or something that we're believing in. So you believe that this was because actually, to in a nutshell, of why Dwight Davidson believes that the through us from our godliness was we walked away from Yahweh. Is it not that? You can comment and tell me that's what that's not what you meant, but in a nutshell, like to cut it short, you're like trying to say we fell away from religion, from believing in Yahweh, and we started believing in something else. That's where everything went wrong. That is like what that is like what Dwight Davidson is trying to tell us. All men knew Yahweh and walked away from him. That's a comment, exactly. That's what like what he was trying to say. So it's you're trying to say we fell because we walked away from Yahweh at that time. So I guess you're also trying to say after we walked away from Yahweh, then Yahweh sent the Caucasians to come and punish us from walking away from him. You can still drop your comment and tell me if that is what you think too. But of course, all right. Let me first let me first read the comments. Of course, Africa did not practice warfare. They civilized the ethic planet. You cannot um civilize savages. That is Atlanta Winter. Of course, Kel Williams, I can see. Thank you for coming through. Kel Williams says that, what's up, people? Maria, you make it to yeah, I made it to work. Unbelievable. Yeah, I'm here, and I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be here. I'll be here. I'll be here. I guess I'll be here. So, can you domesticate a snake? That is the character of our colonizers. Can you domesticate a snake? Landa says, can you domesticate a snake? That's the character of our colonizers. You cannot, because it is not supposed to be a domestic animal. It is a reptile, I guess. All men knew Yahweh. I read that already. So I personally have my own way of thinking. I have my own way of thinking. Um, of course, Yahweh will remove his protection and the world will become a page movie. Okay. That is a comment from Dwight Davidson. So Yahweh will. I don't know why. I don't know about this Hebrew thing. Though, but okay. That is what Dwight Davidson tells us. So I guess no, I was still asking, do you believe it is because we dragged away from Yahweh and now Yahweh had to send the Caucasians to punish us or something like that, or to take us into slavery? As you are Hebrew Israelites and a believer of Yahweh, do you think this was Yahweh's program for Africans to be taken into slavery and all that kind? What do you believe in? I'm also waiting to read your comments. There isn't any God in the universe. Energy, frequency, and vibration is our God or higher power in the universe. That's a comment from Lando Winter. I guess Lando and Winter have different views and perspectives about this whole thing, but I personally have my own thinking. Africans were so very confident. That is one. And probably that's why it was very easy for these guys to invade. We were so confident and we were so contented. When you're contented, you don't have, a thought of you wanting to explore outside where you are. Had everything. Okay, so there was no need of us like saying, let's look somewhere else. But we got people who did not have anything. This is my thinking. Like I said, Dwight also has his own thoughts, has his own, but me, I think we're people who had everything that we did not need somebody else, and we did not even think, probably because we are so contented. When you're very contented, you do not care about what happens outside, what happens far away from where you are. But then we have these other people who are not contented, who did not have anything, who are so hungry and very desperate to find peace, to find, what would fulfill them. And definitely the answer was Africa. Until they moved and found Africa, they have never moved back. And for the fact that we Africans were so contented, we are not so desperate, we are so naive to see that, we got some snakes that are falling into our basket. And we thought, okay, I guess that could be why it was very easy for us to be invaded. And we were so confident, very welcoming. And by the way, Africans are still very welcoming even until today. That's why some other people think that they are so naive, because we do not compete with anybody. That is the nature of an African person. You don't compete with anyone. You do things obviously because you're created like that. Mom, cut. I don't know who's this. Kiza, talk to mom. Who is this one calling my phone? Mama, when I tell you what is it now? Okay. Who's that calling my phone? Okay, the page. Okay. There isn't any. I read that the page was movie in which all law was removed in cities and people were allowed to rob, steal, and kill. I watched that, of course. I love movies. Who defines sin? This is why we're in this sheet. It's a balancing of the good and evil of oneself. That's a comment, of course, from Robert Williams. No, we're human who practice nature. not savages that are against nature, like the hybrid creatures that share our plant. That's other comment of it's on. Enjoy your evening. I have to split. Take care. All of you. That's of course Jib Jabba saluting ya. Well, I guess he's getting busy. Thank you so much, Jib Jabba, for coming through. Thank you so much for being here with us. Of course, and guys, I can see you have made this place very, very warm. Thank you very much for those great comments from, of course, Lando Winter and Dwight Davidson, Robert Williams, and General Mosquito. Who else was here? Kay Williams, was he here? Yeah, I guess. I guess maybe I'm just okay. This name, but I guess he was here. Keith. Yeah. Let me. Yeah. General Mosquito was here. Yeah, Kay Williams was not here. Robert Williams was. Thank you very much, Robert Williams, for coming here. And let me first read these last comments, like someone else dropped a comment. Was that? I guess no. Okay. Peace. You look good in yellow. I guess. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Jiba Jaba. All right. Thank you very much, guys, for those who have dropped in their comments. It is always a pleasure having you guys here with me and and reading all your comments, participating on my live show. Thank you very much, Lando Winter. Thank you very much, Dwight Davidson. Thank you very much, Robert Williams. Thank you very much, General Mosquito. Thank you very much, Keith. I knew some, of course. I saw you drop a comment. Thank you very much for those who have been watching my show. And it has been a pleasure having you guys here every day. I'm looking forward to having you here tomorrow, same time, and with a very, very yet another interesting topic from Black Hot Fire Network. It is a blessed night from Kampala. My network is skipping. I don't know why it is doing this. So I'm trying to run before it disturbs me. But thank you so much, guys, for coming through. Lando, I've missed you for all these days. I've not been seeing you come in. I've not been seeing you here. So I guess you've been busy, but so grateful to have seen you today. And also the same happens. I think last time Dwight Davidson wasn't here too, and General Mosquito wasn't. So I guess last time I don't know, I think I made a show, but I was alone. Or who was here? I don't know. Very much, guys, for coming through. I'm thanking you endlessly. But yeah, I guess so. See you tomorrow, same time. Stay blessed. It's Africa Maria, like always. Ciao, ciao. You can stay around a little. Where is that thing I'm supposed? My network. I guess this. So guys, see you tomorrow. Bye. Bye.